Opportunity to appear before the committee. And number one reservation that starts out very strongly, Honorable Speaker, one is the valuation. The National Treasury has been out here, especially I've listened to the officials from there, talking about basing the sale of Safaricom 34 Kenya shillings share price at something they are calling market price. But Honorable Speaker, our market has been bearish. It has been bearish from 2023 up to now. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it would be wrong for Kenya to sell Safaricom shares at 34 shillings, a share that was selling at 45 shillings in the year 2021, Honorable Speaker, and especially at a time when the company has already invested in Ethiopia, has been bleeding cash for the last 2 years, but is now breaking even operationally. Honorable Speaker, looking at the financial statements of Safaricom, in the first half of this year, they made a 52.1% jump in net profit, making an over 40 billion Kenya shillings in net profit. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we anticipate that Safaricom PLC will be making an over 80 billion Kenya shillings in this financial year, ending March, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, in all considerations, it is possible that Safaricom will be making 100 billion Kenya shillings in bottom line from next year. Honorable Speaker, the kind of price and the reason given is incompetent and it is ineptitude by itself, Honorable Speaker, and especially basing the argument on market price in quotes. Honorable Speaker, at the same time that we are purporting to sell Safaricom at market price in quotes, Honorable Speaker, we have two transactions happening in the NSE. One is NCBA being the 66% buyout by NCBA, Honorable Speaker, by Nedbank. Honorable Speaker, it is good that I clarify that before the advent.
Order, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, what is out of order?
You know, Honorable Speaker, this house is a house of record. And it would be very wrong if we do not challenge the misleading information being given by the Honorable, my good brother, the MP for Kiharu. On the matter of valuation, the valuation that we use, and is very well stipulated in our reports, we have not based it on the market value. We have used economic models that are known globally as models of valuation of shares. So unless Honorable Ndindi Nyoro has come up with his own formula of how to value shares that is not there available in the economic information, Honorable Speaker, then he should tell us. But several methods that are used, including a price-earning ratio, enterprise value divided by EBITDA, has all given this share price between 10.96 shillings and 33.5 shillings, as I outlined in my report, Honorable Speaker. So unless Ndindi Nyoro has his own formula that he is vetted, that he needs to prove to all the economics and finance experts globally and patent that as his formula, then whatever he's saying is just yes, and it's important that he goes on record, not to use formulas that are not in the domain of valuation of shares, because they are known formulas that like we've highlighted in our report, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ndindi Nyoro.
Honorable Speaker, I see people going around inviting people to give points of order on my contribution, and I hope that this filibustering is not taking away my time. But just to teach my brother some formula, Honorable Speaker, the same formula he's proposed.
Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, you know you are Speaker. You will be given all the time you need if your time would have been eaten into by any point of order. So just give your explanation. The point of order I hear, and I've guillotined your time deliberately, is the presentation you made was that the share value here in terms of the pricing in this transaction was based on the market price. And I hear the chair of the committee in charge of finance to be saying that was not so, and he's saying he had other formulae. All those formulae are not market price. So can you just respond to that, then you go to continue your presentation.
Honorable Speaker, that is basically the incompetent I was talking about. Because, Honorable Speaker, using the same formula put forth by the chair, the one he finished with is PE ratio. I want to inform my brother that the PE ratio by the close of this financial year of Safaricom will be around 16. The market average is higher. Our buyers who are buying Safaricom shares, the highest PE ratio, the best PE ratio they've ever had is 40, Honorable Speaker, in 2022. Currently, their P ratio is actually negative because they make losses. The P ratio of Etisalat is over 30, Honorable Speaker. The P ratio of Orange, the P ratio of Airtel. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is proper that Kenyans are watching the total incompetence at which we are selling our Safaricom stake. That even our own arguments are against us, Honorable Speaker. The second thing, Honorable Speaker, that I want to bring forth.
Did you say the price at which the shares are proposed to be sold is inadequate or incompetent? What did you say?
Honorable Speaker, when it comes to a business transaction, you are either competent to look for value for money for yourself, or you are incompetent to give yourself to the other party. What I'm saying is this: the same formula the chairman is proposing of P ratio of telcos. By the close of this financial year, the anticipated profit of 80 billion. Honorable Speaker, the P ratio of Safaricom will be around 16.1 years, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the competitors in telcos, Etisalat, Airtel, and the others, Honorable Speaker, their P ratios are much, much worse, Honorable Speaker. And it is glaring, Honorable Speaker, that we are giving forth an
Honorable Kimani, Kuria, what is out of order? This is now a competition about finance minds, and it is beneficial for our debate.
Honorable Speaker, I did challenge my good brother, the honorable member for Kiharu, to give us one formula that he's using to give that price. And the price earning multiples, Honorable Speaker, as we've calculated, and as shown by KCB as a firm that was valuing these shares, gave it a low of 10.62, an average of 17.08, and high of 25.01. Those are facts. So unless the Honorable Ndindi tells us, for him to call us incompetent, can he tell us which economic formula he's using so that he doesn't start talking about Orange? We're not selling Orange. He's talking about other telcos. We're not talking about other telcos. What valuation model are you going to use to propose the price that you're calling as incompetent? And until he answers that question, Honorable Speaker, he should withdraw his term of the word incompetence and all those other aspersions is casting on the National Treasury and on this Honorable House, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, what is asked of you should be very easy. Please proceed to address them.
Honorable Speaker, it is laughable that I wish the chair is listening to himself. He's talking about the PE ratio.
Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, have you looked at the report of the committee?
I have.
Yes, in the report of the committee, there are 5 models of share valuation demonstrated there, not only PE ratio. What I hear the chair of the committee to be asking is that if you say we would have yielded as a nation a better price than this, and you are tagging it to a price, what formula do you use to arrive at your price so that they would be justified mathematically to seek more? Proceed.
And I would rather you give me time, because every member will have time to contribute, and I don't need any help. I will also not purport to help them. I would rather contribute. The other members will have their time. Honorable Speaker, let me put it very correctly, Honorable Speaker. The formula I am using is the same chairman used. The PE ratio is price of an...
Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, the majority leader is on a point of order.
You know, Honorable Speaker, I'm one of those people who rarely interject when members are contributing. But Honorable Nyoro has a duty and a responsibility to respect other members. He has used very unparliamentary language to begin with, and those are some of the issues the chair stood up on a point of order. You cannot call people incompetent because he said that the valuation models used here are incompetent, and the committee that has considered it, they're incompetent. Honorable Rico is interrupting me because he's also a member of that committee. This is a committee of 30 members. To Honorable Speaker, you have alluded to what Honorable Ndindi Nyoro is being challenged to substantiate, because you must substantiate things you allege. The easiest thing you can do here is to come and say, oh, this thing is incompetent, this share is undervalued. You must give us a substantiation of the alternative. And that is what I had Honorable Kimani Kuria ask. What is that other valuation model that you can give us or give the country so that we may benefit from your intellect? You are probably more intelligent than all the other people you consider to be incompetent. In your competence, show us that other alternative valuation model, other than the 5 valuation models that the committee considered here, that gives a better price than that price that is determined, by, that was negotiated on 34 shillings. And you know, Ndindi Nyoro has been out there in marketplaces and lecture halls saying how incompetent people are, how this share has been undervalued or overvalued at times. In fact, at one point, he said the share was overpriced, at another time it was underpriced when the market became bullish. He has also told us here that the market is bearish. For all intents and purposes, Honorable Speaker, I am also an observer and a trader in this market. I may not be a stockbroker like Ndindi Nyoro, but I buy shares. I know when the market gets certain information, the market reacts to that share price. When there was information on this session of paper, the market reacted. In fact, long before even this news became news that government was going to divest, the market reacted to it. And the market on the Safaricom share became very bullish. That is why that share rose. At the time, I think, when this session of paper was brought to this house, the share price was trading at 20-something shillings. It rose all the way out of speculation. Kenyans know that the share, the financial year of Safaricom is about to come to an end. To an end, I think, the closes, I think, in March, is it? In March. And therefore, Honorable Speaker protects me from Honorable Makali Mulu, and he knows I respect him, because now you address the Speaker, stop addressing me.
Honorable Makali Mulu.
You know you are becoming like Alonzo Musyoka now, just shouting in rallies. You address me through the Speaker. You don't address me like Alonzo Musyoka. It's Alonzo Musyoka who refused to address it.
Majority Leader, you will not Majority Leader, you will not mention Kenyans who are not before the House in a manner that does not enable them to defend themselves. Honorable Makali Mulu, you are old enough to know you cannot talk at the Speaker when the Speaker is giving a ruling. Take back your seat. Yes, Honorable Ndindi, are you done? Yeah, I would order the Majority Leader to secure that as the Leader of the House is on the path of good debate, and anything that besmirches is taken out of record.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know I have to apologize to Honorable Makali Mulu for obvious reasons. He is nowhere close to the people I mentioned in terms of intellect and how he articulates issues. He's nowhere close, and therefore I profusely apologize to Honorable Makali Mulu, Dr. Makali Mulu, because this is an economist of repute, and that is why I know he will agree with me that the market, especially around the Safaricom share, cannot be said to be bearish. These are things we want to say here to get clips to circulate on social media, Honorable Speaker. And I wanted to ask that you do direct the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro to stop looking for clips to circulate on social media to substantiate how bearish is this market. How is the Safaricom share undervalued in his own valuation model? What economic valuation model is using? Because there is no Ndindi valuation model. There are valuation models that have been performed by the committee.
Majority Leader, your point is made. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, I guillotined time. You will have 2 minutes. Within those 2 minutes, there is, because the total time is 5 minutes. You know Ndindi has been upstanding due to the interventions, and I would request we stop them for over 10 minutes now. So I'm not going to allow any further interventions. You will have your contributions. You are requesting for 3. There is an offense taken with your use of the word incompetence, more so as they relate to the committee. And your phrase that the leader, the chairperson's submissions before the House are laughable. I would request you withdraw those and then, deal with the issue, if you can. If there is a formula, in economics by which we can land at a better price as a country, it would also be beneficial to the House. Otherwise, you just proceed and conclude. To 1.5 minutes from now.
Honorable Speaker, I don't find merit in responding to the filibustering from the previous member, but responding to the chair who earlier stated about the formula. I have been repeating and I'm repeating. I'm not even introducing a new one. I'm using their own. The chair stood here and talked about P ratio. I'm not even going to the other ones that I can use, there are many. I'm just concentrating on his. P ratio of Safaricom by close of this year will be 16.1 years, Honorable Speaker. Our buyers who are Vodafone, Vodacom, their P ratio, the best they have ever had is 40 periods, Honorable Speaker. P ratio measures periods. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ndindi.
Hey.
No, please, I will not allow more points of order. Let me direct this debate. Honorable Ndindi, P ratio is one of the 4 models. And they are in the report in terms of demonstrating how each model arrives to what figure.
Precisely.
Yeah, so it is not only PE ratio, which has been proposed. And I've not heard the chair to say the model that was used to price these shares was PE ratio. There were 4 models that they are demonstrated there. The ask is that you demonstrate how you arrive at a share value that would be different from this. Yes.
Chairman, Honorable Speaker, I am repeating for the obtained time. I know there are even more than 4 formulas. There are more. But I want to zero in onto their own. Honorable Speaker, P ratio is price over earning ratio. We are talking about a price of 34. So the price is integral. Earning per share is also integral. And it measures periods. The period at which you may return your money using bottom line in Safaricom is 16.1 years, Honorable Speaker. The one for our buyers, the best that you have ever had in around 2022 was 40 periods, Honorable Speaker, for 40 years. Currently, they are in negative. Etisalat, Airtel, Orange, they are all trading at P ratios in the ranges of 30. It means on that basis alone, our Safaricom share is undervalued by more than half, Honorable Speaker. The second thing, Honorable Speaker, I want us to consider, currently in our NSC, there are block trades happening at the same time. It is exposing what we are doing to Kenyans. NCBA buyout by Netbank. Before the announcement that there was an imminent buyout from Standard Bank earlier in the last quarter of last year, the price of NCBA was around 70 shillings. But the transaction price is 105 shillings, Honorable Speaker. There is a current transaction happening in the NSC, in EABL. DIJ is selling to Asahi. The current market share price, Honorable Speaker, of EABL today is 259 shillings. But they are transacting at 590 shillings, Honorable Speaker. I'm just trying to say, it would be very wrong for anyone to bring semantics around market price, Honorable Speaker. It exposes how unpatriotic we can be, Honorable Speaker. The second thing I want to highlight is something called condition precedent. Honorable Speaker, there were condition precedents given by CA, Honorable Speaker, to our buyers in regards to licensing, where Kenya is losing over 70 billion Kenya shillings. The other one is information asymmetry. We are selling to one buyer, Honorable Speaker, instead of floating to the global market to get the best value, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the current person we are selling to is already an insider. There is already an information asymmetry. The CFO of the current company we are selling is proposed, Honorable Speaker, by our current buyers. Honorable Speaker, that in a mature market cannot be allowed to pass. The other one, Honorable Speaker, as I come to the finish.
Thank you, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. Honorable Daniel Manduku. You want to listen to people who know finances.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was very privileged to be one of the members of parliament who accompanied the committee in various counties across this country. In fact, I can confirm that I went to up to 8 counties myself. And when I listened to the public, there were 3 main concerns. The first concern was on the issue of ensuring that the funds raised or realized from this sale are directly put into a kitty that would enhance development across the country. The second concern was on the issue of data and privacy. And the last concern was the issue of valuation. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to belabor much on the issue of valuation, but let me say that having listened to various stakeholders, including the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, which was headed by none other than a professor, the committee came to a conclusion that the valuation of 34 shillings was a fair value, because any other model showed lower valuations. On the issue of data protection, Mr. Speaker, it was realized that there already exist laws that safeguard the public, either from cyber security or from inherent data safety. And so existing laws protect all citizens against any infringement on data protection. Mr. Speaker, there has never been a moment in this country where the government has sought a more innovative method of funding our infrastructure other than the creation of the National Infrastructure Fund, and where these funds are all going to be deposited. And so, Mr. Speaker, looking at other jurisdictions that have succeeded, you realize that they have gone this way. And I want to support this venture and confirm that this is what the public wants. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, and listening to my colleagues here, markets are, by their very nature, very volatile. They can be bullish or bearish, but we forget one thing. You cannot look at technology industry just like you look at the beverage industry or motor vehicle industry. Technology by its very nature is very evolving. In fact, every 9 months, knowledge in technology doubles. And so, if anything disruptive happens to Safaricom today, there could be a very big fall in the price or rise in the price. And so you cannot use that as a basis to compare Safaricom and other non-related industries. Mr. Speaker, I think that this was a good move, and I support the report of the Joint Committee of Finance and Planning, together with the Select Committee on Public Debt and Privatization. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, the Honorable Irene Mayaka. Honorable Makali, you'll be reached.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity.
Members also speak.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also support this particular report. And from the onset, I just like to register my support to it. Honorable Speaker, we have listened to the Chair of Finance Committee giving us a detailed report of the history behind this, what exactly happened, and why we are where we are with this particular matter. And first of all, Honorable Speaker, before I even give my contribution, I'd just like to make an observation of the report from the committee in terms of the valuation methodologies that were used, because they did use 5 different methodologies. And Honorable Speaker, it's also very important to mention to the House that National Treasury actually used an independent valuer by the name of KCB Investment Limited, which has a reputation of having done valuation for different companies that have been very successful in different areas, including outside of this particular country. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the transactional overview of this particular divestiture, which gives us a figure of 15% of the total 35% shareholding of the government, with 40.2 billion, which is going to be an upfront payment that goes into the famous act that is now called the NIF, the National Infrastructure Fund. But also, Honorable Speaker, this is also one methodology that is being used to ensure that we earn non-tax revenue of a total of 244.5 billion shillings. Honorable Speaker, also, if you look at the engagement that the committee had with different stakeholders, the public participation, 78 in total, 30 different counties, you can see that the sentiments that came through from different sectors was actually in support of this particular divestiture. Honorable Speaker, looking at the issue of the legal and constitutional framework that was used by the committee, we look at the Public Finance Management Act, especially Section 87. Part 4, which allows divestiture of different organizations. And Honorable Speaker, fellow CPA Ruto actually gave us an example of other examples of where the Kenyan government has been able to do this. So this is not a first time that this has been done. Honorable Speaker, also looking at some of the business continuity model, we've seen the fact that it has taken into consideration the fact that there will be no interference with the dealers and agencies of Safaricom, the service stability, and also consumer protection. Honorable Speaker, important to note is the fact that the committee was very keen to ensure that the data protection aspects in the digital space have been taken into consideration. But also, Honorable Speaker, looking at some of the advantages of why it is important and why we support partial divestiture. One that I've already mentioned is the revenue aspect. The other one is the funding strategic infrastructure projects, notably the National Infrastructure Fund, which this is going to be one of the funds, one of the sources of that particular fund that is going to go into major infrastructure and critical sector infrastructure for this particular country. Honorable Speaker, also very important to note is the retention of value in terms of the fact that the government is still retaining 20%. So they're not entirely giving out their stake in Safaricom, but they will be retaining some of it. Honorable Speaker, another important advantage is also enhancing corporate efficiency, because if you look at a comparison between a public-run organization and private-run organization, we can all see that the corporate and efficiency of the private-run organizations. So, Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I'd like to just once again thank the committee for this and give my full support to the session paper. I thank you and I submit.
The Honorable Dr. John Mutunga is recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I will restrict myself to the divestiture of Safaricom because that is the subject matter today. I rise to support the adoption of the session of paper number 3 of 2025 on the partial divestiture, Honorable Speaker. The first reason why I support this is in line with the fact that the government the government long-term strategy for fiscal consolidation. Honorable Speaker, we have been labored in this House with how do we ensure that we have fiscal consolidation. Honorable Speaker, it's not very interesting to factor huge budget deficit every time. And it's also not very interesting to be guided by other institutions or other countries and advising us on having to restrict our fiscal deficit to a certain proportion. So it is important for us to look inwards, and I think this is a good idea, to look inwards and come up with possibilities of trying to take care of our own issue. It is also a homegrown solution to basically reduce accumulation of debts. Honorable Speaker, whenever we factor in debt, and then we have to develop this country, it appears that the resources used for development must be borrowed. So we keep on borrowing every time. And even if we say that the government should not borrow, and we don't offer a good solution, Honorable Speaker, it's really not good enough. So low borrowing, Honorable Speaker, is better for us, and self-driven development is really important. The second issue that I want to bring in, or the second reason, is that such an initiative basically leads to long-term fiscal sustainability. There is the issue of consolidation and the issue of sustainability. And the attributes, Honorable Speaker, are very clear. First of all, sustained debt servicing. Of course, if we are able to take care of other demands for money, then we can sustainably, service our debt. There is also the issue of reduction of the risk of insolvency. As a country, we are taking care of our issues, we are taking care of our debt, so we do not risk insolvency. The risk of defaulting on our obligations is also being reduced, and the reduction in the disruption in development initiatives. As a country, Honorable Speaker, we're looking at a possibility of developing this country without over-reliance on money from outside. We don't have to discuss, a long-term descheduling of debt, long-term, borrowing, or concessional loans, or even a very expensive, commercial loans, whether local or international. The other issue, the third reason why I support this particular adoption of this session of paper is that it is actually partial, not complete. If we are talking about complete detachment from, or rather sale of Safaricom, I think we would be very much worried. But Honorable Speaker,
the government of Kenya still sustains a significant proportion of the Safaricom. Therefore, it will sustain or retain the critical component or infrastructure within the Safaricom network in the sense that the critical communication, which is important for us, will be sustained. The government will have a hand in it. Last week, initially, there was a lot of fear that, that Safaricom is a huge bank, especially when you look at M-Pesa. M-Pesa basically moves a lot of money, more than 32 million Kenyans are already enrolled, and therefore it is a huge transaction, institution. So we cannot just wish it off. So there is, the Honourable Speaker, there are no effects on the legal obligations to the company itself, and the security responsibilities are sustained. Therefore, this particular option is good, and it offers, Honourable Speaker, in line with that, immediate liquidity. Immediate liquidity, in this case, Honourable Speaker, we are saying that there will be money put in immediately, which will help us to start, relieving ourselves from the strain that we have in terms of financing development. The fourth reason why I support, Honourable Speaker, is the ring fencing issue, the ring fencing of the divestiture proceedings. Honourable Speaker, we are seeing that it's clear in the committee report that the investment will go into commercially reliable infrastructural projects. And these commercially reliable infrastructural projects are important, even as enshrined in the context of the National Infrastructure Fund. And Honourable Speaker, I pause to look at the future. And I ask myself, if my children found me with a house, they will feel better than if they didn't find one. And Honourable Speaker, rarely will you find a road which is tarmacked turning into another road completely if a government is responsible. If we can develop this country now, it will be better for the future generations. They will find it better, they will be happier, and they will realize that we made better decisions. Honourable Speaker, I support that option.
The Honorable Leo Jeru, the MP from Bere North.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for supporting me. I've been wanting to contribute to this debate and motion. I rise to support. I may not be an expert in finance, but I've run successful businesses. I have started and sold businesses. So I want to say that when some members mislead the public and this House, it's actually very irresponsible, because if you stand here and say that you have a price, you have used the valuation, and you have a better price, we need to hear that price. We need to know who is out there willing to buy Safaricom at a higher price. Because, Honorable Speaker, I believe if we are talking of Safaricom being undervalued, there are businessmen out there, businesses that would be willing to spend and come and buy, not just hearsay. And in fact, Honorable Member, we don't know what will happen by December. We are talking of things looking good. We don't know how they will look. People in my constituency need to have this infrastructure fund funded from this sale, so that those areas that have been forgotten, like Mbere North, can actually benefit from the budget for the first time. For 63 years, 63 budgets, my constituency, 780 square kilometers, has only 48 kilometers of tarmac. And we are being told to wait, wishful thinking that, oh, there is a better value, there are people out there who may buy Safaricom at a higher price. So I support this divestiture, and I actually say, once this succeeds, I will be urging members, we come back next year and we sell another 5%. Each constituency gets some money for development, for roads, for classrooms, so that Kenyans stop waiting. And Honorable Speaker, we actually subject some constituencies like mine into a poverty trap. You know, we never get out of poverty because we have so poor infrastructure. We have areas that have no road. We have arable land but no water for irrigation. Once we have such an investment, a divestiture, and I believe there are more corporations coming. Then we are going to be talking sense when we go to Kenyans and we tell them that for 63 years, we have relied on the budget, but now we have actually started on a new model, so you don't have to wait for 63 years. We can actually have change coming now. So, Honorable Speaker, I fully support, and I ask members, please let us consider next year we come and divest another 5%, which we can take directly to our constituencies. I am very sure if we ask our constituencies, if we ask them if we bring 300 million for development, they will tell us, go and divest 5%. So I urge members who are opposing to come here with facts and tell us if we have Etisalat. I've heard about Etisalat. Any company that is willing to buy Safaricom, let them bring their offer now. Let us not talk about wishful thinking. Let us not talk about very good numbers, yet there is nothing on the table. Safaricom is a good company. If there is anyone out there with a good price, let us hear about that price, not just wishful thinking. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, the Honorable Ariko will be followed by the Honorable Karoli Omondi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by supporting this divestiture of Safaricom shares by government. Honorable Speaker, the journey to Canaan through Singapore is here. The journey to Canaan started a long time ago with the creation of House Levy Fund. And we've seen so many buildings coming up across the country, including Turkana. The second enabler of this journey to Canaan is the National Infrastructure Fund. This National Infrastructure Fund came as a result of Finance and National Planning Committee when the CS for Treasury appeared before the committee and pronounced that he has created a company which, to the thinking of the Finance Committee, was not properly placed to handle these funds. The Finance Committee will push Treasury to create National Infrastructure Fund to take care of all the funds that will be needed for critical and viable infrastructure projects. Honorable Speaker, I'm privileged to be a member of Finance and National Planning Committee that traversed these counties. And what the members of the public are saying, yes, they can support the infrastructure, the divestiture of these shares, but they have some conditions that place before the committee. One, it looks like public trust is the problem. There's no public trust in the government. So what I want to say is this. What the members of the public raise is on the issue, on the usage of these funds. They wanted the funds to be ring-fenced. And ring-fencing of this fund is the establishment of the National Infrastructure Fund. The second item they raise is that how will these critical and viable infrastructure funds will be distributed across all the counties without information that there are major projects that are needed to bring up the economy of this country. And this is what we call viable and critical infrastructure funds. And the public requested there is need to have oversight of this fund. And that's why we are saying this House has an oversight role, and the two-tier structure in the National Infrastructure Fund serves the oversight also. Honorable Speaker, I was in Kiambu on this public engagement, and one retired civil servant told the other stakeholders one question. And the question was, were you engaged? Were you asked as to whether the governments need to invest in Safaricom? Why are you asking the government not to sell these shares? That's the question of a retired civil servant in Kiambu County, where my good friend, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, was just around that particular area. We thought he's going to join us so that we can enlighten members of the public. Honorable Speaker, the objective of this divestiture is to relieve the national budget from these viable and critical infrastructure projects, to pave way for the government to support other marginalized areas, that these economically productive areas have been taking a lot of money, denying opportunities for other areas of this country. On the issues of the methods of divestiture, Honorable Speaker, the three methods I understand of this divestiture, one is private placement. The second one is on the issue of IPO. The third one is on the sale of assets. This one, it's upon the entity that is selling shares to make a...
I'll give you 1 minute to conclude that point. I'll add you 1 minute only.
Honorable Speaker, Treasury decided to go on the private placements, where there was one investor that was ready to part with more than the market prices that were there. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the valuation models, I don't know why my good scholar, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, when he appeared before the committee, I asked Ndindi Nyoro one question. What model are you using, and how much is the model giving us? That is the question I asked my good friend, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. Up to now, he has not given us the model, but he is going against other scholars who came up with their own models, but he's not coming up with his own model that he has come up with. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Karoli Omondi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me begin by saying that this has been a very useful debate, and I thank Honorable Ndindi Nyoro for the very, very articulate contributions. Safaricom, the shareholding structure, currently GOK is at 35%, Vodacom 40%, but by their own disclosures at the London Stock Exchange, 5% of that is warehoused as a corruption deal for Mobitelair, and retail and institutional investors at Nairobi Securities own 25%. Honorable Speaker, it is important when you are selling an asset to ask yourself whether it is the right timing. And I think that is what Honorable Ndindi Nyoro talked about. The market is bearish. It is the wrong time to sell. We are desperate. That's why we are selling. And this is why. We've just had another transaction, Kenya Pipeline. And these are the results, if you want to know the market situation. The Kenya Pipeline shares that we were selling 65%, 20% were reserved for foreign investors. Only 0.2% of foreign investors subscribed, meaning they don't have confidence. There was 5% reserved for the staff of Kenya Pipeline, those who should know the business better than anybody else. Only 0.06% subscribed. There was 15% reserved for oil marketing companies. Only 0.014% bought. Then there was 20% reserved for retail investors. Only 2.56% bought. So the market, it is the wrong time to offload. So Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro was quite right. So that is the first question we have. Secondly, we are being told that this effective date is now revised to 1st April. In the sessional paper, it was a date that was going to exclude in excess of 9 billion in terms of dividends that would have gone to the government. Nobody knew where that was going to go. Now we are being told it is 1st of April. The correct phraseology should be the effective date is the date on which the 9 billion are paid under the current financial year, the dividends that are due to GOK, which by design were left opaque and undisclosed. And to make matters worse, we are not even being told, and the report itself admits, that are the shares being sold ex-dividend or come dividend? Because you could own all shares, but they come with certain benefits that have not been crystallized. That has not been crystallized, and we need to deal with that. Secondly, we are told...
Order, Honorable Julius Ruto.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I know Honorable Karoli Omondi is my good friend, and I like listening to him. But is it in order for him to state to this Honorable House and castigate the report that the Committee of Finance, the Joint Committee of Finance and National Planning and Committee on Privatization and Public Debt, to ensure that it take care of that risk that is bringing out? But he wants to castigate a report that is on record, and that the report of chair has spelled out that the effective day will be 1st of April, immediately after the closure of a financial year. And you know, the moment the balance sheet date is drawn, any liability and obligation falls where it is. So why proceed to castigate a doubt on a formal report that has taken care of that risk?
You've made your point. Honorable Karoli Omondi, the question is, by when are dividends due?
Okay. I will not even answer that. Let me go on with my presentation.
No.
The second thing,
Honorable Karoli, I think we need to take the House seriously. Yeah, you see, the point you are making is that 1st of April, which according to the committee, a condition is being imposed in terms of when the transaction should be done so that we save on the dividends of 9 billion, which you say would have been lost, is 1st of April 2026. Now you are saying there could be a danger that some... Yes, so could you tell us the date on when dividends are due?
Okay. There's a phraseology, due and payable, but may not be payable. In law, you understand it. The shares could have crystallized, but that does not mean you'll be paid. That is why I'm suggesting it should be very clear that the effective date is when the 9 billion is paid. Come on, we are lawyers, we know this. So let's go on.
What is out of order, Honorable the Majority Leader?
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Karoli is trying to use semantics on due and payable. When the financial year closes, if you are listed as a shareholder as at that date, the question is, are you due to be paid your dividends? And the straight answer is yes. And therefore, what the Honorable Member for Keses was pointing to is that the committee has been very diligent. Because if the committee was not as diligent as Honorable Karoli wants to allude to, then they would not have had that effective date of 1st of April. The date of 1st April is premeditated and deliberate because the financial year closes on the 31st of March. And therefore, anybody who was a shareholder as at 31st of March will be paid his dividends. Common sense.
I want to allow Honorable Karoli Omondi. Honorable Karoli Omondi, can you proceed? I don't want to allow this many interventions. Are you on a point of information? Honorable Karoli, you want Honorable Ndindi to inform you?
Of course, that's my future running mate, yes.
Honorable Ndindi.
Honorable Speaker, I address my brothers here in this House to stop misleading Kenyans and to stop parading our ignorance to Kenyans. Dividends is not paid to any shareholder who was in the books by the closure of the financial year. It is by the time you close the books and it is announced. Today, KCB Group announced their financial statements. It is not a person who was in the books of KCB by 31st December. They will announce a specific date that by the time of this date, anyone in the register is the one who gets paid. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, this is my information, that a static date can also be changed by the directors.
Honorable Ndindi, the Majority Leader is on a point of order.
Speaker, it is good first that Honorable Karoli Omondi has alluded to the fact that they are just playing politics. Because politics is politics, but facts are facts. And you cannot change that, Honorable Speaker. Because, Honorable Speaker, if I am not a shareholder, what would I be paid dividends for? Dividends are paid to shareholders. You pay dividends, you also pay dividends based on the financial performance of a company as at the end of a particular financial year. Therefore, you cannot tell us that if the board meets in December and declares a dividend, the board can meet in December to declare a dividend, leader, but you'll be paid.
Honorable Majority Leader, before you sit, order. No, he's already taken his seat, you can't inform him. But Majority Leader, when declared, this year, and when they were they declared last year? When were the dividends, if you know, for Safaricom declared this year?
Honorable Speaker, unless I check the actual date, I am not aware when they declared.
Yes,
but
so Honorable
the point of declaration, Honorable.
Yes, yeah.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying the point of declaration of the dividends, you pay dividends to the existing shareholders as at the financial year when you are reporting. That's a fact, and you can't run away from that. Therefore, let us not just play politics with this matter. And the other thing, Honorable Speaker, the sessional paper, when it came, it did not have those conditions precedent.
Yes.
The two committees, 30 honorable members of this House, who do not play politics, are very diligent, including Honorable Ariko and others, sat and put those conditions precedent. So what these members should be telling us, is there something wrong with these conditions precedent? Should we have passed this sessional paper as it came? I must commend these two committees because they did a splendid job in putting some of these conditions precedent.
Honorable Karoli, you have your 1 minute to conclude.
I have 3 minutes, Honorable Speaker. Secondly, we are told that this valuation was done by Kenya Commercial Bank, another government agency. No arm's length transaction. A big problem. Secondly, that valuation was not subjected to competition, the way it would happen in open market. And let me just give you an example why it is wrong. The own report is saying today...
Did you say Kenya Commercial Bank is a government entity?
There's government influence over it. In serious jurisdictions, that would not happen. Let me go on. By their own report, on 31st March, the shares of Safaricom were trading at 31 shillings. They said, at the time the valuation was done, it was 27.50 cents. And then they did their calculation, they go to 34. And then we would get a premium of 17 to 19%. By that report alone, the premium they were projecting has dropped by 50%, even before the transaction has been completed. Honorable Speaker, they are forfeiting, they are accepting 40 billion in advance in lieu of dividends that would come over 6 years period. The cost of that, they are telling us, is 15 billion that the government is foregoing because we want to implement certain projects very quickly. There is no project they can implement, is a serious infrastructure project that can be implemented over a period of less than 3 to 5 years. So what is the hurry? But to make matters worse, they are telling us in their own report that if Vodafone had invested the 40.2 billion over the 6-year period, they would get 75 billion, giving government some 20 billion. Why would Vodafone be so generous to the government of Kenya and the people of Kenya? There's something wrong there. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the documents, there is no buyback clause that should have been incorporated in the sessional paper in a transaction like this. And there's even no issue. They are telling us we will safeguard our employees, but it is only for 3 years. There is no golden share mechanism to protect Kenyan workers. We are only keeping the chair and 2 independent directors. What about Kenyans who can run Safaricom, who have run telcos? Honorable Speaker, there are a lot of problems in this transaction.
Kimani, Kuria, what is out of order?
So, Honorable Speaker, I would like to, I think it's more of a point of information, that if you read the resolutions...
No, Honorable Kimani, Kuria...
Okay, it's a point of order that the Honorable Member cannot mislead this House on the issue of redundancy of staff. If you read on the standing, on the order paper, it explicitly says that we have provided that the share price agreement must provide that there will not be any redundancy-related repercussions for the staff of Safaricom PLC. It is there on the order paper. It is there in the report. So So, Honorable Speaker, we should not allow these people misinforming this House, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Karoli Omondi, you have your 30 seconds to conclude.
Honorable Speaker, it is there, but the time limit is 3 years. So after 3 years, they can be fired. That is what the original sessional paper told us. Yes, that is what it did.
Honorable members, Honorable Kuria Kimani, just take your seat. Don't help the Speaker on this. The sessional paper spoke about, Honorable Karoli, the sessional paper spoke about 3 years. The committee has put a condition for further protection. I don't know whether you have read it. And that is the point being made. Anyway,
how long? Can they tell us?
Is this time done?
No, can they tell us for how long? Yes, can they tell us for how long? So, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Karoli.
Yes.
You are a lawyer.
Yeah.
When it is recommended that there will be no redundancy as per order paper or loss of job following on acquisition-related redundancies, what does it mean for a lawyer? Do you really to time it, or you are giving an overall protection?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, in transactions like this, there are time limits and time provisions.
Conclude.
So, Honorable Speaker, there may be, people may not be happy when we say, when Honorable Ndindi Nyoro talks of incompetence, but the word competence is also used in law and in our national values. Competence is one of them. The opposite of that is incompetence.
Yeah, the Honorable Beatrice Elachi will be followed by Honorable Makali Mulu as I go that way, coming this way in terms of recognitions. Time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to also support the motion for the approval of the sessional paper number 3 on the proposed partial divestiture of Safaricom, Mr. Speaker. We remember that Safaricom is a very profitable company in this country. And indeed, as we sell the shares, we are saying it has to bring significant benefits to Kenya and to the economy of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, when I look at all the arguments we've done, you know, the most sad part of this is the way we look at things in a very personal way. And that's the challenge we face, that when we have an issue with another person, so you carry that and you come, how I wish this would have just been a very objective debate to make sure we tell Kenyans what is best in selling these shares, that we are raising funds, yes, we are improving efficiency, yes, attracting investments, yes, but also how I wish would expand the public share ownership. So it means when it goes to the stock exchange, Mr. Speaker, I'm hoping we'll see more Kenyans coming to buy. Remember, this is a company that was founded in 1997, Mr. Speaker. We're talking of 29 years. At that time, it was a subsidiary of Telkom. But more importantly, remember, it started its privatization in 2002, when Vodacom now bought it. So we just need to tell Kenyans, it is not now we are starting. It has been there. But the question should be, at that time, when we started selling these shares, and I remember even in 2008, what happened? What did we do with the money? Is that what it's going to happen when we sell? That is what we should be telling Kenyans, that for the first time, we shall put it in a fund, and you, who drives from Kisumu to Busia, with 1 road that was made since 1963, can at least have a better road that those trucks can pass through. In very simple language. Because even if you come here and tell me about the share price, I know, as a person who buys shares, and by the way, I lost a lot of shares in 2011, Mr. Speaker, when Safaricom went to 2 shillings and 95 cents. We lost. But we are still there. But what are we saying? That it fluctuates, and we know that. But the most important thing is we need to ask also the committee, if you combine these models that you're telling us, will we have a strategic sale? Shall we be able to raise maximum revenue that we are looking for? Will it ensure expertise and stability, but also promote ownership for all of us. So even as we support this, Mr. Speaker, I would wish for those who understand economics than us, because as we are now talking in layman's language, what a Kenyan who is not an economist, but is a serious shareholder than even us who are speaking this Kizungumingi here. We are very serious Safaricom shareholders who do not look at it in economics. They've been doing investments in it. Those are the people we should be now debating here to give them that assurance that this is a good sale and it's for all Kenyans. And so, Mr. Speaker, as I support, I would wish all of us to now go back to Treasury and ask them, as we do all these things, and even the investment authority that is coming through the infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, that they must ensure the biggest challenge every Kenyan is looking at is corruption. How are we going to deal with that? I beg to support.
The Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to add my voice into this Sessional Paper number 3 of 2025, Honorable Speaker, and I want to appreciate the extensive public participation which was conducted for this Sessional Paper, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I've looked at the report, and I will not really want to dwell on the models, because, Honorable Speaker, when you get to the models, it becomes very complicated for the common mwananchi. But I must appreciate that models are also not easy, Honorable Speaker. Those of us who are economists, that is the line we train in, and it's not easy. But I just want to pick from this report about 3 issues, Honorable Speaker, which I think really the committee has done well in terms of improving the original Sessional Paper. But I think there are still some gaps. In economics, Honorable Speaker, we talk about necessary conditions and sufficient. So you could be having the necessary, but sufficiency is not achieved, Honorable Speaker. I want to start with the issue of buyer selection, as the report talks about buyer selection, Honorable Speaker. The report says that the public did express concerns on how the investors were evaluated. And the committee is in agreement with that statement, and just below there they say, for future, they would want that improved. Now, Honorable Speaker, where we are today, in terms of trust of the current government, this government, Honorable Speaker, is experiencing very serious trust deficit. And that being the case, if I were the chairperson of these 2 committees, this matter would have taken time to make sure that even as we move to the future, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans have a bit of confidence. To me, I think we achieved a necessary condition. We did not achieve sufficient condition on that particular matter.
What is out of
the second issue, Honorable Speaker.
Just take your seat, Honorable Makali Mulu. What is out of order?
Honorable Speaker, you know, I don't like to interrupt Honorable Makali Mulu, but he's saying that this government is suffering from trust deficit. And I was just wondering, may he substantiate how a government that has the trust of millions of Kenyans is suffering from any trust deficit, unless it is, you know, he can say that and say it is in his opinion, but he cannot state it as a statement of fact. Because I could also say, you know, I had Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka the other day say, purport to fire the Honorable Junet Mohammed as the leader of minority. Well, clearly, he knew he holds no capacity to fire Honorable Junet Mohammed as a minority leader. In any case, the only person he can fire is Robert Mbui and Makali Mulu. So Makali Mulu cannot purport that this government suffers from trust deficit. And Makali, you know, if there was any trust deficit, you know which people Kenyans have not trusted over the years. It has not been the William Ruto administration. You know which people.
Honorable. Are you done?
Honorable Speaker, you know, for any government to know whether it suffers from trust deficit from the people, because governments are put in place by the people. The only barometer to measure that trustometer you can use is elections. The recent by-elections, those on November 27th, all the positions were taken by this government, the broad-based government. The recent elections this month, last month, the 4 elections from Isiolo to Vihiga to Mbere, all of them clean sweep by the broad-based administration. This is not a government that suffers from trust deficiency or trust deficit. It is the disunited opposition that people cannot trust with anything, even leadership positions in the opposition.
Honorable Makali Mulu, you want to?
You know, Honorable Speaker, I've realized that when serious brains of this House start to make comments, we get this kind of points of order, so that you disorganize us, not to push our agenda. What I'll do, Honorable Speaker, I don't know why my friend Kimani keeps on dragging the name of Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka into this House. Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka is not seated here. Every time you stand, is this the animal which scares you, or what is happening? Because if it doesn't scare you at all, why do you keep on mentioning him? Honorable Speaker, let me get to my second point, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm helping this report because I'm a very, very patriotic Kenyan, Honorable Speaker. And many times when I make my recommendations here, as a scholar, I want to add value to this kind of debate so that whatever comes out, it will help this country. And Honorable Speaker, even as I talk, and as Honorable Ndindi makes contribution, we know very well. Yesterday there was a very clear statement that when the broad-based government is together, this House has to say yes. We are aware of that statement. So what we are going to do is we are going on record so that things can remain that way. We know when you come together as a broad-based government, this is on paper will pass. But we must say the truth about this on paper. You might like it, you might not like it. Now the thing is, Honorable Speaker. The second issue I want to address, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of 3 items you have been mentioned here. And Honorable Chair, Finance, this is your report, it's not my report. You have discussed the issue of national security and how Safaricom contributes or plays a key role matters national security. You have discussed the issue of financial ecosystem and how Safaricom supports our financial ecosystem in this country. You have talked about the extensive networks Safaricom has in terms of dealers and agents, Honorable Speaker. Now, these 3 items, your report says you have put a provision in this seasonal paper that they will be safeguarded, which is a very good statement. To me, that is a necessary provision. It is not sufficient, Mr. Chairman. Why am I saying so? Honorable Speaker, look at Safaricom PLC. It's a company, it's a corporate entity where we have shareholders. Now, with this being a corporate entity with shareholders, who is a majority shareholder? It's Fondocom company. It will be 54.9%. In game theory, in a situation where you are a player and you are a dominant player, you call the shots. So assuming we sign this thing, Honorable Speaker, and tomorrow Safaricom says we are not making profits in Kenya, being the main shareholder, we want to relocate our company to Ethiopia. Will you stop them? So some of the things we are doing here are good, Honorable Speaker, but we are saying, Honorable Speaker, they are not sufficient. If we want to help Kenyans, we must make sure that before we finalize this session of paper, Honorable Speaker, we have clear provisions to ensure that whatever we are discussing about national security, issues of financial ecosystem, issues of our dealers and agents are properly protected. Because by the time this is on paper and the agreements will be signed, Honorable Speaker, it must be very clear, Honorable Speaker, that this information is properly captured. Otherwise, we will be saying that time, we didn't know. This is a company. If I don't make profits, I can say I close my company. If I close my company, how do you tell me to employ employees when I'm not making profits?
Take your seat, Honorable Makali Mulu. The Honorable Kimani Kuria, I'm really avoiding points of order so that we can keep to the time for debates. What is out of order?
Yes, but Honorable Speaker, it is very important because this is a very phenomenal decision that's been made by the people of the Republic of Kenya, by this House. So it's very important that we put things in order. If you read, if the Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu cared to read our report and what is provided for in the order paper, we are providing that there shall be express instructions in the share purchase agreement that will be contained in the Articles of Association and the Memorandum of Understanding for Safaricom PLC to safeguard the interests of the employees and to safeguard the interests of those agents. We have expressly provided for it, and it is one of the resolutions that this House will vote for. We're not just going to vote about the partial divestiture. We are saying we're not approving the share paper as it is. We are recommending that for it to be approved, then there must be express provisions in the share purchase agreement for the interests of safeguarding the matter of security of Safaricom being such a key infrastructure in terms of security for the employees and for the shared prosperity of M-Pesa agents and all those agents. So it's expressly provided for in the order paper. And what this Honorable House, if the finding merit in our report approves, then it shall be contained in the share purchase agreement that will indeed be contained in the Articles of Association and the Memorandum of Understanding between Vodacom and Safaricom PLC and GOK.
Oh, you are right, the Honorable Kimani Kuria. I see what you are saying in the additional resolutions B 2, 5, and 6. But let us allow Honorable Makali Mulu, because
Honorable,
as you rightly say, Honorable Makali Mulu is enriching the report. He's actually not opposing the sale, if I hear him right.
Actually, what I was saying, Honorable Speaker, I'm aware of what is written here. But I'm looking at decision-making in a corporate entity where you have shareholders. How is it done? Because it will get to a point where the shareholders will have to make a decision. And in most cases, it is by voting. So I'm saying, assuming we'll have this policy document, or this on paper, Honorable Speaker, saying what we are saying, but the decision making in a corporate entity takes a different decision. So I'm saying, even before we make it official, Honorable Speaker, it is important we safeguard these issues we have written here. They are very important things, but the way they are now, as an economist, I see a necessary situation, not a sufficient situation. I'm pushing for the two committees before we finalize to put us into a sufficient position so that we are assured as Kenyans we will get value for this document. And in that case, Honorable Speaker, I really want to say, sale of Safaricom is not sale of a small goat in the market. It is sale of a big cow in the market, and a very fat cow. We cannot do it the way we want to do it, Honorable Speaker. It must be done in a very structured manner, in a manner where Kenyans are convinced that we are getting value for money. Let's avoid these side shows in the plenary here where we bring politics into it. This is a serious matter. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to say those gaps must be addressed if we want to get it right. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity, and at the outset, let me make it clear that I support this sessional paper number 3 of 2026 on the partial divestiture of Safaricom PLC to the government of Kenya, by the government of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, it is important to note firstly that we just passed the National Infrastructure Fund here, and it has since been assented to by the President of the Republic of Kenya. Why are we doing this? We are doing it to achieve 3 main things. And this is not just about Safaricom. We also have a pipeline whose IPO has gone into the National Nairobi Security Exchange. Portland Cement, East African Portland Cement, is one such, Honorable Speaker. And we intend to achieve 3 things, which are very critical to us. Number 1 is to put infrastructure across this country without necessarily looking at the areas which are aligned to the government of the day, because that is exactly what we have been treated to since time immemorial. These infrastructure funds, which have since been ring-fenced, or rather will be ring-fenced, will make sure that each and every part of this country is developed, Honorable Speaker. Number 2, we are looking at the power plants. This country only relies on 3,000 megawatts of power,
We intend to move to 10,000 megawatts, Honorable Speaker, so that we avoid these issues of blackouts, which have pervaded our country each and every time. We are also going to look at easing our debt burden, Honorable Speaker. This country has consistently taken debts from these financial institutions, both locally and abroad. And the proceeds or these debts that we take do not respond to the country in its entirety. You have Eurobond, for example, that never made it to this country. You have monies from IMF and World Bank that have been only targeting particular regions to benefit out of infrastructure, Honorable Speaker. So these funds, National Infrastructure Fund, a fund that we have birthed as a house, has since been passed and is part of our laws now, is an act of Parliament, will now respond to these areas that have lagged behind, Honorable Speaker. Talking about Safaricom, my brother, Honorable Ndindi here, made a statement of fact that Safaricom last year generated 40 billion shillings in terms of profits, Honorable Speaker. Now, that is the collegiate Safaricom, the entirety of Safaricom that brought in 40 billion shillings. We are only looking at offloading 15% of that amount of money. So if you were to do your math, 15% is equivalent to 6 billion shillings that was generated by Safaricom last year. 6 billion shillings. Now, as a result of this divestiture, Honorable Speaker, we are going to get 244 billion shillings, 244 billion shillings out of 15% of Safaricom, Honorable Speaker. If, as a nation, we have to wait, and this is now mathematics, if we have to wait for the 15% to generate through the profits that my honorable colleague was talking about, then we have to wait 80 years to get 244 billion shillings. What will be the worth of 80 billion, or 244 billion shillings 80 years to come? Honorable Speaker, what we are doing is to offset these mature assets so that the country can have a rapid flight towards its growth. Instead of keeping them here with us and they're not generating enough, let us offload them. Look at what happened with pipeline, for example. Out of only the speculation of these offloading shares in pipeline, we already got 112 billion shillings out of the projected 106 billion. It was oversubscribed, Honorable Speaker. Pipeline, and I request you to add me just 1 minute. Pipeline gives this country 10 billion shillings annually. 10 billion in its entirety. If we have to wait for another 12 years to get the equal amount of money of 100...
You are added 1 minute to conclude.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. If we were to wait for another 12 years to get 112 billion shillings, if those profits are anything to go by, then this country will not develop. We are offloading mature assets to develop this country, to provide jobs to our youths, to address the issues of power, because we want not just the political power, but we want our houses to be powered. We want our factories to be powered. Through that, we are going to create jobs to the youths who are languishing out there. Many of them have papers, but they have nowhere to take those papers. But if President Ruto, together with his cabinet, are responding to the needs of Kenyans, and by the way, this is not the first sale of our own assets. We sold Telcom here. People who are now lecturing us were at the top echelons of those past administrations. We never raised any queries. What they are fearing now...
Honorable Jared Okello, the rulings of the Speaker are never reviewed in the manner you're proposing. The Honorable Dick Maungu will now be recognized to speak.
Thank you, Speaker. I would request Jared to give me the points so that I can speak for him. But all the same, Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this great report tabled by the committee and actually appreciate FCPA, the chair of the Finance Committee, Mr. Chief Speaker, because before us here is a very comprehensive statement, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've heard the arguments put across. It's unfortunate that some of these arguments are subjective, Mr. Speaker, rather than being objective and realistic, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the sale of Safaricom, as has been said, has not been done in a secret. Neither is it been done in the cover of darkness. This is a matter that has been subjected to public participation. This is a matter that has been subjected to people's ideas, Mr. Speaker. And what was laid before this House this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, is a comprehensive report that comes from what was collected out of about 30 counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by looking at the price that has been captured, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on page 7 of this report, the chair has come up with various valuation models that have been used to arrive at the price given today, Mr. Speaker. And I wonder, Mr. Speaker, I heard people say that this price is undervalued, but could not have the audacity or the strength to table what models they were using to give what they were proposing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at page 7, we have market approaches, which talks about 2 great models that were used, Mr. Speaker, to value the share at given. We have, Mr. Speaker, income approaches that are supposed to actually forecast the income to be received many years tomorrow or many years after, Mr. Speaker, what is their value today, Mr. Speaker? And this therefore brings to point that what price has been given, Mr. Speaker, is competitive. And what we are seeing today is just a matter of being subjective rather than being objective to the point, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one thing as to why I support this is because what is the destiny of these funds? Last week, Mr. Speaker, we were debating a very innovative fund, the National Infrastructure Fund. And I did say, Mr. Speaker, that Albert Einstein once said that you cannot do the same thing the same way and expect different results. As a country, we have been doing the same thing the same way, Mr. Speaker, yet expected to have a different result. This, to me, was a very creative, a very innovative, a very bold move, Mr. Speaker, that will put all these funds in one kitty to help us offload the budget, some of these small roads, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, the destiny of the fund, as has been captured, goes into the kitty of the National Infrastructure Fund. Just the other day, the KPC IPO, Mr. Speaker, was very successful. I wonder why people say it was not successful, Mr. Speaker, when we did so, it had an oversubscription of 5%, meaning at 105%, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I look at the partner that you're talking about, and you're talking about Vodafone, Mr. Speaker, not just any other company, Mr. Speaker. This partner has, for the last many years, held 40% of the shares, Mr. Speaker. This partner has provided strategic leadership. This partner has provided good governance at the board level, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, looking at what we are offloading as a government, Mr. Speaker, to this very partner, to me, is a very bold and strategic way, Mr. Speaker, that will go a long way, Mr. Speaker, to bring in the strategic thought, the strategic direction of Vodafone, Mr. Speaker, to help us steer this, Mr. Speaker. As a member said, Safaricom is not just any share. It is actually a very strategic asset. It is a very bold asset. It's a very lucrative asset, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also support because of capitalization of dividends, Mr. Speaker. It is true that we have streams of dividends that are supposed to accrue to this, to this company, Mr. Speaker. And we are from the chair, he is proposing that we are going to receive these dividends which have been valued to date, Mr. Speaker, in advance to help us sort some of the things we have. What we call securitization, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm one proponent who supports securitization because it has helped us sort very many stalled projects in this country, including one in my constituency that has disturbed this country for the last 14 years, Mr. Speaker. As we speak, because of securitization, Mr. Speaker, a road that had been stuck in Luanda for the last 14 years is ongoing, Mr. Speaker, because the contractor was paid and the road is on course. And therefore, anybody who actually fights securitizing these dividends, Mr. Speaker, does not think good for this country, Mr. Speaker. And lastly, I look at the staff. It has been said clearly there's no redundancy. Mr. Speaker, the staff have been protected and secured. And therefore, I stand to support, Mr. Speaker, and say that this is a good move and the country should move on to secure the same. I support.
The Honorable Timothy Toroitich. In the meanwhile, may the majority leader approach the Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important motion. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I wish to state very clearly that I support the letter and the intent of divestiture in Safaricom PLC by the government of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, for this country to develop, for Kenya to develop, Honorable Speaker, we must adopt innovative financial models. Honorable Speaker, for this country, we've always talked about Singapore. For us to reach Singapore, we must be able to be creative as a country. We must be able to adopt models that take us to Singapore, as we've always said, so that we can be able to be at the level of other Asian tigers we've always envisioned as a country. Honorable Speaker, the sale of shares in Safaricom, the sale of shares in Kenya Pipeline. Honorable Speaker, I am very happy because as a House, Honorable Speaker, recently we passed the government-owned enterprises law. And we said, Honorable Speaker, that government-owned enterprises, government-owned entities must be run
fat cow. We cannot do it the way we want to do it, Honorable Speaker. It must be done in a very structured manner, in a manner where Kenyans are convinced that we are getting value for money. Let's avoid these side shows in the perennial year where we bring politics into it. This is a serious matter. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to say those gaps
owned entities. Honorable Speaker, what makes me happy is that what comes out of the sale of these shares is that we shall be able to invest these shares in the NIF, the National Infrastructure Fund. Honorable Speaker, we have a law to ensure that the monies that we obtain from these shares are invested in a fund that will eventually be able to be invested in catalytic infrastructure, and therefore will fast track the... Honorable Speaker,
what is out of order, Honorable Dorothy? Order. That is Honorable Dorothy Kiere. What is out of order?
Honorable Speaker, I standing on the 95. There is no quorum in this House, Honorable Speaker.
The bell be rung.
95.
Ring the bell for 10 minutes.